the child, he is pale and thin. He wears a thin and ragged linen shirt. He strokes the school fire outside lie dark, turned fields with rags of snow and dark woods. However, he had a few last holes. His folk are known for hewers of wood and drawers of water, but in truth his father has been a schoolmaster. He lies in drink, quotes from poets whose names are now lost. The boy crouches by the fire and watches him. Night of your birth, 33. The Leonids, they were called. God, how the stars did fall. I looked for blackness, holes in the heavens. The dipper stove. The mother dead, these 14 years did incubate in her own bosom. The creature would carry her off. The father never speaks her name. The child does not know. And he has a sister in this world that he will not see again. He watches, pale and unwashed. He can neither read nor write, and in him broods already a taste for mindless violence. All history pours out in that visage, child the father of man. Nervous. At 14 he runs away. He will not see again the freezing kitchen house and pre-dawn dark, the firewood, the washpots. He wanders west as far as Memphis, a solitary migrant upon that flat and pastoral landscape. Blacks in the fields, Lincoln stooped, fingers spider-like among the balls of cotton. A shadow of agony in the garden, against the sun's declining figures moving in the slower dusk across a paper skyline. A long dark husbandman pursuing mule and harrowing down the rain-plumb bottomland toward night. A year later he is in St. Louis. He is taken on for New Orleans aboard a flatboat. 42 days on the river. At night the steamboats hoot and trudge past these black waters, all alike like cities adrift. They break up the float and sell the lumber, and he walks in the streets and hears tongues he has not heard before. He lives in a room above the courtyard, behind a tavern, and he comes down at night like some fairy book beast to fight with the settlers. He is not big, but he has big wrists, big hands. His shoulders are set close. The child's face is curiously untouched behind the scars. The eyes oddly innocent. They fight with fists, feet, with bottles or knives. All races, all breeds. Men whose speech sounds like the grunting of apes. Men from lands so far that standing over them where they lie, bleeding in the mud, feels like mankind itself vindicated. On a certain night, a Maltese boatswain shoots him in the back with a small pistol. Swinging to deal with the man, he is shot again just below the heart. The man flees, and he leans against the bar with the blood running out of his shirt. The others look away. After a while, he sits on the floor. He lies in a cot in the room upstairs for 2 weeks, while the tavern keeper's wife tends him. She brings him meals. She carries out his slops, a hard-looking woman with a wiry body, like a man's. By the time he is mended, he has no money to pay her, and he leaves in the night and sleeps on the riverbank until he can find a boat that will take him on. The boat was going to Texas. Only now is the child finally divested of all that he has been. His origins are become remote as is his destiny. Not again in all the world's turning, whether it be terrain so wild and barbarous to try whether the stuff of creation may be shaped to man's will, or whether his own heart is not another kind of clay. Passengers are a different lot. They cage their eyes, and no man asks what it is that brings him here. He sleeps on the deck, a pilgrim among others. He watches the dim shore rise and fall, gray seabirds gawking, flights of pelicans coastwise above the gray swells. They disembark before the light, settlers with their shadows, all studying the low coastline, the thin bite of sand and scrub pines swimming in the haze. He walks through the narrow streets of the port. The air smells of salt and new-sawn lumber. At night, women call to him from the dark like souls in rock. A week, and he is on the move again. A few dollars in his purse that he's earned, walking the sand roads of the southern neck alone. His hands balled in the cotton pockets of his cheap coat, earthing causeways across the marshland, egrets in the rookeries, white as candles among the moss. The wind has a raw edge to it, and leaves it low by the roadside, and skelter on in the night fields. He moves north through small settlements and farms, working for day wages found. He sees a parakeet hanged in the crossroads, and the man's friend run forward and pull his legs. He hangs dead from his rope. He works in a sawmill. He works in diphtheria pestos. He takes as pay from a farmer an aged mule at the back of this in the spring of the year 1849. He rides up through the latter-day Republic of Fredonia, into the town of Nacogdoches. The Reverend Green had been playing to a full house daily as long as the rain had been falling, and the rain had been falling for 2 weeks. When the kid ducked into the red canvas tent, there was standing room along the walls. A place would do. Such a heavy reek of wet batheless that they themselves would sally forth into the downpour now, again for fresh air, before the rain drove them in again. He stood with others of his kind along the back wall. The only thing that might have distinguished him in that crowd was that he was not armed. Neighbors, said the Reverend, he couldn't stay out of these here. Hell was right here in Nacogdoches. I said to him, you want to take the Son of God in there with you? He said, oh no, I ain't. And I said, don't you know what he said? I'll follow you always even unto the end of the world. But he said, I ain't asking nobody to go nowheres. And I said, neighbor, you don't need to ask. He's going to be there with you every step of the way, whether you ask it or you don't. I said, neighbor, you can't get shed of him. Now, are we going to drag him into that hellhole yonder? You ever see such a place for rain? Kid had been watching the Reverend. He turned to the man who spoke. He wore long mustaches, after the fashion of teamsters, and he wore a wide-brimmed hat with a low, round crown. He was slightly wall-eyed. He was watching the kid earnestly, as if he'd know his opinion about the rain. I just got here, said the kid. That beats all I ever seen. The kid nodded. An enormous man dressed in oilcloth slicker had entered the tent and removed his hat. He was bald as a stone, and he had no trace of beard, and he had no brows to his eyes nor lashes to them. He was close on to 7 feet in height, and he stood smoking a cigar even in this nomadic house of God, and he seemed to have removed his hat only to chase the rain from it. Now, put it on again. The Reverend stopped his sermon altogether. There was no sound in the tent. All watched the man. He adjusted the hat, and then pushed his way forward as far as the great pulpit where the Reverend stood, and there he turned to address the Reverend's congregation. His face was serene, strangely childlike. His hands were small. He held them out. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel it my duty to inform you that the man holding this revival is an impostor. He holds no papers of divinity from any institution recognized or improvised. He's altogether devoid of the least qualification to the office he has usurped, and is only committed to memory a few passages from the good book for the purpose of lending to his fraudulent sermons some faint flavor of the piety he despises. In truth, the gentleman standing here before you, posing as a minister of the Lord, is not only totally illiterate, but is also wanted by the law in the states of Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Oh God, cried the Reverend. Lies, lies. He began reading feverishly from his open Bible, a variety of charges, the most recent of which involved a girl of 11 years. I said 11, who had come to him in trust and whom he was surprised in the act of violating, while actually clothed in the livery of his God. A moan swept through the crowd. A lady sank to her knees. This is him, cried the Reverend, sobbing. This is him, the devil where he stands. Let's hang the turd, called an ugly thud from the gallery to the rear. Not 3 weeks before this, he was run out of Fort Smith, Arkansas, for having converse with the goat. Yes, lady, that is what I said. Goat. Why, my eyes, if I won't shoot the son of a gun, said a man rising at the far side of the tent, and drawing a pistol from his boot, he leveled it and fired. The young teamster instantly produced a knife from his clothing, and unseamed the tent, and stepped outside into the rain. The kid followed. They ducked low and ran across the mud toward the hotel. Already, gunfire was generated in the tent, and a dozen puffed and hacked through canvas walls, and people were pouring out, women screaming, folk stumbling, folk trampled underfoot in the mud. The kid and his friend reached the hotel galley and wiped the water from their eyes and turned to watch. As they did so, the tent began to sway and buckle like a huge and wounded Medusa. It almost slowly settled to the ground, trailing tattered canvas walls and ratty guy ropes over the ground. The bald-headed man was already at the bar when they entered. On the polished wood before him were 2 hats and a double handful of coins. He raised his glass out to them. They stood up to the bar. He ordered whiskeys, and the kid laid down his money, but the barman pushed it back with his thumb and nod. These here is on the judge, he said. They drank. The teamster set his glass down and looked at the kid, or it seemed to. Couldn't be sure of his gaze. The kid, tall. I don't know, man. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry, wait, wrong part. The kid looked down at the bar to where the judge stood. The bar was that tall. Not every man could get his elbows up on it, but it came just to the judge's waist, and he stood with his hands placed flatwise on the wood, leaning slightly as if about to give another address. By now, men were piling through the doorway, bleeding, covered in mud, cursing. They gathered about the judge. A posse was being drawn to pursue the preacher. Judge, how did he come to have goods on that no account? Goods, said the judge. When was you in Fort Smith? Fort Smith? Where did you know him to know all that stuff on him? You mean the Reverend Green? Yes, sir, I reckon he was in Fort Smith before he come out here. I was never in Fort Smith in my life. Doubt that he was. They looked from one to another. Where was it you went up on him? I never laid eyes on the man before today. Never even heard of him. He raised his glass and drank. There was strange silence in the room. The men looked like mud effigies. Finally, someone began to laugh. Then another. Soon they were all laughing together. Someone bought the judge a drink. It had been raining for 16 days when he met Tovan, and it was raining yet. He was still standing in the same saloon. He had drunk up all his money, save $2. Teamster had gone. The room was all but empty. The door was still open, and you could see the rain falling in the empty lot behind the hotel. He drained his glass and went out. There were boards laid across the mud, and he followed the appalling band. The door led down toward the backboard jakes at the bottom of the lot. Another man was coming up from the jakes, and they met halfway on the narrow planks. The man before him swayed slightly. His wet hat brim fell to his shoulders, save in the front where it was pinned back. He held a bottle loosely in one hand. Better get out of my way, he said. The kid wasn't going to do that. He saw no use in discussing. He kicked the man in the jaw. The man went down and got up again. He said, I'm going to kill you. He swung with the bottle and the kid ducked. Then he swung again. The kid stepped back. The kid hit the man again. The kid hit the man, shattered the bottle against the side of his head. He went off the boards into the mud, and the man lunged after him with a jagged bottleneck and tried to stick it in his eye. The kid was fending with his hands, and they were slick with blood. He kept trying to reach into his boot for his knife. Kill you, said the man. They slogged about it in the dark of the lot, coming out of their boots. The kid had his knife now. Circled crabwise, and when the man lurched at him, he cut the man's shirt open. The man threw down the bottleneck and unsheathed his bowie knife behind his neck. His hat had come off, and his blackened robe locks swung about his head, and he had codified his threats to one word: kill. A crazed chant. That ends cut, said one of the seven men standing along the walkway watching. Kill, slobbered the man waiting for. Someone else was coming down the lot. Alright, I think I'll end that right there. Page 10.